Hi, Dr. Mike Carberry here, and I'm glad to have as a guest Cory Bergeron from Pitch Media. Cory, welcome.
Thank you so much.
I'm welcoming myself to your studio, which is a beautiful studio.
Thank you.
We align very much with Cory's philosophy in marketing and branding, which is the why.
Yes.
Finding the why and letting people know the why. Mm-hmm. And so I've been a big believer that when I deliver a message, more than half of my message is the purpose and the reason I'm doing it. And you align with that, and we're very glad to be working with you.
Thank you.
We're also excited to be doing this video because if we're doing this video, that means you've already agreed to speak at our convention.
Looking forward to it.
In San Diego in October of this year, October 11th and 12th. Mm-hmm. So we're very, very much excited to have you coming to that. We don't want to give away the store for that, but I want our listeners to know a little bit about you and your background.
Okay.
So can I ask you some questions about how you got started?
Absolutely. Let it fly.
How did you get started in directing and producing and media and marketing?
So it began about 20 years ago. I was hired by the Home Shopping Network, HSN. Most people understand that acronym. And I was brought in as a director. So as a director, you are, and realize before that I had a strong background in creating sound systems for big convention centers, and I just had a strong electronics background when it came to operating and wiring for video and audio. And so that's why I was able to step into the director role at HSN. And I quickly climbed the ladder there. I went from overnights to doing their highest stakes, most high profile shows that were making the most money within about 6 months.
I was going to say some of our viewers may recognize your face because you were on quite a bit. I recognized you at first.
That actually came later. So yes, I did make the transition to the front of the camera. Mm-hmm. But before I did that, I spent 10 years as the heartbeat of the show. So as a director, you're sitting behind a console that's got about 4,000 buttons on it, tons and tons of menus. I've got 20 different people on headset that are all following my commands, my audio operator, the people on the floor that are responsible for the product. I have a pedal on the floor, and I'm actually talking into the host of talking into the ear of the talent that are on camera at the time. And I'm ultimately responsible for the final broadcast. So everything that the entire country sees, I'm making all that happen. And more importantly, just up off my elbow is a sales monitor. That sales monitor is actually telling me how many dollars per minute the network is making.
Wow.
Now, the most expensive thing the network pays for is that satellite time. So you have to maximize every second you're on the air. And there's a little phone that sits off to your side, and you do not want that phone to ring. Because that phone, every executive up in the top of the office building, they all have the live feed and that same sales monitor.
Right.
And that sales monitor shows you in real time how many people are calling in, how many people have it in their shopping cart on hsn.com, how many people are checking out, and how many dollars per minute you're making. And it's the director's job to maximize that airtime. So and realize I did this for tens of thousands of different products and presentations over about a decade. And during that time, you begin to get this sense of a person needs to see this, hear this, and ultimately feel this in order to commit to a buying decision.
Right.
And so as the director, you're taking every single camera shot. You are making the decision as to what is going to go on the air moment to moment to be able to maximize those sales. So it becomes integrated into you after a while. People need to feel this in order to buy this.
Right.
Now, yes, I then became one of the only guys in the history of television retail to go from behind the camera in that role to in front of the camera as talent. And that was a completely different world, because now I'm actually the one responsible for delivering the sales message on the air.
Right.
I'm scripting all the presentations. I'm deciding what demos are going to be done. I'm deciding what stories are going to be told. I'm looking at a 10 to 15 minute time slot in which I have to maximize sales, and I'm deciding what emotional journey the customer is going to take with me to lead them toward interest in my product and ultimately the buying decision.
Truly understanding and knowing what marketing is about and branding is about. You have to know what that customer's thinking.
That's right.
So the reason you're in the situation you're in today is because that number wasn't millions, that number was billions?
Hundreds of millions, yeah.
Hundreds of millions.
I was on the air for about 9 years as a talent. Now, during that time, I did about 300 different products for the Home Shopping Network. And by the way, statistically speaking, when you take a product on the air at a shopping network like that, you have about a 1 in 15 chance that your product is going to be great, that it's going to exceed network projections, and it's going to get repeated airings, and it's going to sell. That's what most people expected. I'm going to go on the air, I'm going to try a whole bunch of products, and then I'll get a winner, right? It'll take 10 to 15 tries to do that. Well, for me, it was 1 in less than 2. So I went on the air, my average is actually 1 in 1.6. So 1 in less than 2 products that I took on the air exceeded network projections right out of the gate. And I ended up setting a lot of records across 5 different product categories at HSN.
You have a lot of awards in production and media, correct?
So some of the records that I set, which I think is what you're referring to, like Microsoft, for example, they approached me. They wanted me to launch the Xbox Kinect in North America. It was brand new technology.
Wow.
Nobody had seen it yet. My kids were like, the neighborhood thought that they were rock stars because we had a game console that no one else in the country was going to have for 2 months yet. It wasn't even going to be on the store shelves. And we've got it in the living room, and my family's using it so that we can learn about it before I take it on the air.
Right.
And we did. We a good product is making somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 a minute when it's on the air.
Wow.
That's a really hot product. I ran the Xbox Kinect at $96,000 a minute.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive. So you made a transition from the Home Shopping Network, and then you even went to QVC.
I did.
Yeah.
I stepped off the air at Home Shopping in 2014. I then went to QVC, and I was on air with them for about 1.5 years. But during that time, I was building my video production company, and the whole idea behind Pitch Media was to bring everything that I knew about customer psychology and how to help a viewer to feel something significant and lead them on an emotional path toward the buying decision. Everything that I knew about that, and everything I knew about creating great video, and everything that was trending right now in the hottest new way of engaging people online through digital video, the strongest conversion tool on the planet, everything that I knew about those things, bringing it all to the table for our client.
And that's what most people who run a business, well, I would say all people, most people who really understand it, that's what they're trying to get, but they're a lot of times clueless about it. So that's where you come in. You have the expertise in that. You can direct them to getting this message out and understanding how the person receiving it is going to take it and how to get them into a call to action.
That's right. And it's funny because there have been so many changes in how digital video is received these days and what works and what doesn't. I tell people your best ideas from 2 years ago are your baggage today. What we were doing in video style and length of video and messaging of video, it's continually transforming as our culture transforms over time, as they consume information differently. So because of that, there are styles of videos we were using to engage customers and drive leads 2 years ago that we don't even touch today because today is so different. So you really have to know what's working now.
Right, which kind of goes into the what's more important to tell, your why, your how, your what. So I know you're going to talk about that at our convention. Do you want to just give us a little highlight of your viewpoint on that?
Sure. So I love the fact that you folks are big fans of Simon Sinek. We are too. Our company has a very powerful why. Incidentally, that why is one of the reasons that we love working with your company because it fits so squarely into our passions.
Wow.
And
tell our listeners your why.
Our why is to inspire people to shatter their self-limiting beliefs and go beyond the limits of what they ever thought they could do.
That's a good why. That's a really good why, especially if you're the customer buying your services because they go, yeah, that fits my why too.
Yeah.
Because our why, as you know, is to disrupt the status quo of healthcare because we believe that the healing ability of the patient lies within the patient and the doctor's job is to bring that out. Very much an inspiring viewpoint. It gives the patients a realization, hey, we can heal ourselves. And you're there trying to help the doctors inspire those patients.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the technology that you represent. You represent this technology that is allowing people who thought, I will never be able to do this again, they're able to overcome that. They're able to go beyond what they ever thought they could do through the technology you offer and your doctors offer. So that's why it fits so squarely. As a matter of fact, before you and I ever even met, when my company was walking the why process, we began identifying verticals that we wanted to work in and specific brands we wanted to work with, and stem cell was at the top of our very first vertical. It was one of the first industries we identified as being our passion and the direction we wanted to go.
Well, regenerative medicine is definitely the most amazing thing I've seen in my career. It's not the be-all, end-all, but there's nothing that has come along that has had the results or the power that we've seen with patients and trying to regain their life, regain their ability to live that life. And it's very inspirational to us to do that.
I have friends who have been injured seriously. I mean, I've got a buddy of mine who was working on a fishing boat in Alaska, and they were up against the dock, and he fell over the railing and fell about 25 feet, landed on his head, crushed his spine. And this is a man who is on his feet and walking around, and I mean, he was told he would never walk again. He was told that, that was it. Like he was going to be wheelchair ridden, and he was going to be relying on other people for the rest of his life. And he's up and walking around and actually jogging at this point because of stem cell technology.
Wow, that's really incredible.
Unbelievable.
Really incredible.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So the reason that we have to have somebody like yourself that knows how to reach out and touch the hearts of people, which you do,
Yes.
is because we're going to change healthcare. We're going to disrupt the status quo of the healthcare system in this country. And we're going to shift it from being a symptom-driven system, where that justifies the idea of giving somebody a drug like an opioid for pain that will most likely turn them into a heroin addict or kill them, because it is now, do you realize, the leading cause of death of Americans under the age of 50 is opioids.
I had no idea.
Oh yeah, and the number
gosh.
the number one prescription that gets that person on that drug is back pain. So we need to change healthcare, and that's why we're reaching and asking you for help, because you can help us get to the hearts of America to have people realize, you know what, they're right. We shouldn't be doing it this way. We should be doing it a different way.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to try to do. Can you shed any light on how you can help us do that?
Well, first I want to say how close this is to my own heart. I had my father passed away from throat cancer, and he was not a smoker, which is not,
wow.
not you would have thought, oh, well, that's a smoking thing. No, it wasn't for him. And we watched his decline. It was so hard for our family. And we realized that he actually did a lot of research into how he could have been eating better, how he could have been treating his body differently for decades. And he died with a lot of regret, realizing that the information that he had to dig out of the nooks and crannies of the internet when, and he passed away back in 2004. So,
relatively new.
Yeah, I mean, Google was not nearly what it is now, but he had just begun to get exposure to that information and began to understand, oh my gosh, if I'd had this information 20 years ago, he thought he was eating healthy. He thought he was doing good for his body. There were so many things he was missing that he had no idea. And he died with regret, realizing that if he had had exposure to that information earlier on, it could have saved his life. And then my own wife, who has had thyroid disease for 20 years. We're coming up on our 20-year wedding anniversary. And in the midst of that, we're looking back and realizing she was diagnosed a month after we were married.
Wow.
So it's been the entire length of our marriage that we've been battling this, and we discovered along the way that, my 16-year-old daughter was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. My wife's uncle passed away of thyroid cancer. Well, thyroid cancer is not hereditary, but autoimmune disease is.
Right.
And so many people with autoimmune disease that deal with daily inflammation that's completely unaddressed and triggers so many different things that can happen to their body. Those people, a high percentage of those people come down with thyroid disease.
Right.
So that was what led to my wife's diagnosis of Hashimoto's. And we're now moving in the direction of realizing, hey, look, what we put in our bodies matters. The way we treat ourselves matters. The fact that we should not just be addressing symptoms, but looking at causes matters. And it's such a strong passion for my family, wanting to make sure that we're doing the absolute best to ensure optimum health and longevity for ourselves.
Right. This is not a new debate. This is age-old debate. When Louis Pasteur was doing his work and was saying, well, we can prevent disease by killing the germs. At the same time, there was another very learned person named Antoine Béchamp who was saying, it's not the germs, it's the body, it's the terrain. It's the health of the patient that allows those germs to show up. And when you're speaking about thyroid, you're talking, you know, the language to a lot of our doctors who practice functional medicine, using nutrition to try to get organs to function, particularly the thyroid.
Yeah.
Because there's a relationship with the thyroid and stress and the adrenal glands and
Yes.
the pancreas. And those three things together can lead to a lot of different diseases. And addressing the health of the body is exactly what we're all about, trying to get that patient to fix themselves. We do that in functional medicine, but we also do it in physical medicine, whereas we're not trying to cover up a pain, but try to find out what caused it
Right.
and address that, so that we're not relying on these really strong drugs that can have horrific side effects. So we're really glad. I didn't realize that you had those passionate stories behind you, and
Oh, yeah.
now I can understand why we resonate so well together.
Yes.
But
Very
we're glad
close
you're on our
partners.
team. We're so
Thank you.
glad you're on our team.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So you need to hear more of this guy, and we're going to try to give you as many opportunities as we can, but the biggest one you're going to have is joining us in San Diego on October 11th and 12th for our symposium on healthcare. And Cory is going to be one of the great speakers there, and we're so glad you're going to be part of that.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, the idea of being able to be in front of that many people who are all passionate about something that my wife and I hold so close to our heart and really drives our company why. I'm super excited. I mean, you know, I've spoken in front of a lot of audiences, but I don't think I've ever spoken in front of one that is so closely aligned with what drives us every day, what gets us out of bed and gets our feet on the floor and makes us passionate about what we do. And it's my honor to be there.
Thank you. And you know, the exciting thing about this is the people in the audience are going to include multiple disciplines: medical doctors, osteopaths, nurse practitioners, PAs, chiropractors, physical therapists, all working together to try to bring this realization or change in healthcare about.
That's
so
awesome.
Thank you for being part of it.
Yes, and if you see my wife there, Elizabeth, make sure that you approach her and say hi and let her know that you heard a little bit of her story on this video, because it's a very strong passion of hers. But only do that if you have time to stop and talk, because inevitably you'll be talking to her for a while. That's the way it rolls.
There you go. Okay, well, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Mike.
So we're very glad to be partnering with you. We're very glad that you're going to be in our corner for our doctors, because the message that we have to get out is very important to us, and our clients rely on us to vet vendors that we work with or affiliates that we work with, to make sure that they're actually the real deal, and you are the real deal, and we're very glad to be working with you.
I appreciate that very much.
I'm very excited that you're going to be speaking at our convention in San Diego, and then you're also going to make a little cameo appearance at our Masters in
I
St.
am.
Pete
Yeah,
this weekend.
I'm really psyched to be able to shake hands with your mastermind.
Some of our top guys, yeah, and they're very excited to be hearing from you too. So
Great.
It's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to bring you to our group,
Thank
and
you.
really looking forward to a longer relationship with you.
Outstanding.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Mike.
Okay.
All right.